Hi, friends. I'm excited to share another interview with you. This time, I'm speaking with Tara Bruce Productions musical director, Kelly Ann Evans. She's going to be speaking to me about their latest production coming to Toronto, The Wild Rovers, which is inspired by the music and magic of the beloved Irish Rovers band. The musical itself is an adventure that sees the famed band whisked away to a fantastical land named Athunia. There are two countries. There is Athunia, and not to be confused with their sworn enemy, Ithunia. Yes, they're pronounced the same way. So the fictional countries find themselves on the brink of war, and the lovable, hardworking band must help them find a path to peace through song. There are going to be puppets in this production. There's no intermission, it's 90 minutes, but there's definitely going to be a lot of fun for people of all ages. So I hope that you enjoy my chat with Kelly Ann to hear more about the show, and also make your way to get some tickets. The show, The Wild Rovers, is playing at the theater, the Winter Garden Theater in Toronto. But without further ado, here's my chat with Kelly Ann. Hi, friends. I'm sitting with Kelly Ann Evans of Tara Bruce Productions. Nice to finally see you virtually.
And likewise.
So Kellyanne, you and I are connecting about a very exciting show that's coming to Toronto through Tara Bruce Productions. But maybe let's start a little bit with a little bit about yourself and your work with the production company.
Well, I've been with Tara Bruce since its inception in 2019. And I started as a resident artist, and I'm currently a vocal director, a music director, arranger, performer. I kind of do a little bit of everything with the company, which is wonderful because it keeps life really exciting.
Yes, for sure. So is your background, like as you mentioned, you were a performer. Are you a triple threat? What is your
Yeah,
history?
well, I have a classical music degree and I studied musical theater.
Mm.
So I've been on stage most of my life. I do a lot of theater as well as pop rock, soul reviews. I love singing rock music. This is my first time as arranger and band conductor on a show. So it's
Mhm.
really interesting being on the kind of the other side of the stage, but
Mhm.
it has been a blast.
Mhm. So that sounds very exciting. So the show that you're going to be bringing us to Toronto is the Wild Rovers musical. What can you tell us about the influences in terms of music, the Irish Rovers?
Well, our founder and producer Walter Schroeder, historically, has presented the company with music that he really loves and that inspires them. And of course, it's 60 years for the Irish Rovers
Yeah.
this year. So we started almost 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Piecing together this show, which is a collection of, very well known songs in that genre that
Hmm.
I think resonate with people. And we have the opportunity to present them in a very foolish, lovely way, which is a blast. It's a blast for us on stage, and it's a blast for the audience.
How much involvement did you have in terms of choosing the songs that are going to be? Because I know there is like a story that is aligning with this production. So I will summarize it for folks so that you know what you're getting into. It's a musical, as I mentioned, and it's sort of it's set in fictional countries that are sort of at the brink of war, and there's a lot that's going to happen, but in a fun way. So what was that dialogue of, the music that would be appropriate based on the different themes and moods that you want to convey?
Well, yeah, it's interesting when you're doing a jukebox musical because, you're absolutely right. You have a preconceived kind of list of music, and then
Hmm.
you work to kind of find the through line and the narrative and figuring out the pieces of the puzzle and which songs can be used for which part. And
Yeah.
we got a pretty big list in the beginning, and because they just had so many hits.
Yes.
Then we kind of go through, and of course, first of all, I mean, there's certain songs that you just have to have in there because they're the audience favorites. You
Hmm.
know, they're the big hits, and so you kind of, we got those down, and then we went through the back catalog, looked at a lot of other things, and then kind of the pieces then just fall into place about where things fit. And the interesting thing is that sometimes there's a more serious song. The audience knows a song as a more serious song,
Right.
and we have the opportunity to present it in a bit more of a comedic way. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's some of the comedic songs that actually can be given some drama. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing I love about this is that we had the opportunity to kind of reimagine some of these songs. And I think it's very cool to witness the audience hearing these very well-known songs in a different light. It's like hearing them
Mm-hmm.
for the first time, it's like, whoa,
Right.
okay. I never imagined that Drunken Sailor would be a tango. And there it is.
So let's talk about that arrangement because now you said you're on this side of things.
Mhm.
And what were some of your influences in thinking, okay, this might sound good this way in this style? Was it more based on the story, or were there different elements that you kind of pulled from?
Well, I think there's a bunch of elements. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, of course, the story.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, you kind of have to imagine, okay, you don't want your story to be happening and then you stop your story and then you have a song and then the story continues. You kind of have to marry it through and think about the characters. And we were kind of lucky in this case because we have this silly fairy tale world where
Yes.
we were able to imagine going even further outside of the box, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of were fearless in the beginning. We just tried a lot of different things. And then the other thing is that we're very fortunate at Terra Bruce to have a resident artist company.
Right.
So in having that company, I've been working with some of the singers. I mean, some of the singers in this company for a decade or more.
Right.
So also knowing their voices,
Mm-hmm.
knowing the range of their voices, knowing where the magic places are in there. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
combination of marrying the songs to the story, which of
Mm-hmm.
course we did, with the ability to take them out of context to fit in this fantasy fairy tale world, and then also to wrap them around the strengths and the musicality and the voices of the artists that we have been working with for a number of years.
Right. And it must be so fun for them too, right? To sort of experience some of this music in a different light and vibes.
Oh my Lord, absolutely. Well, like I said, you hear Drunken Sailor as a tango, and the Wild Rover, which is usually a rollicking, trad stomp on the floor tune, is presented in a little more of a jazz ballad way about one of the characters just mourning their life of freedom and bohemian existence,
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. And having the resident artist company, in doing the arrangements, I would write something and then myself and Josh would collaborate on the sound,
Mm-hmm.
from a band and vocal perspective. And then we were lucky enough to go into the rehearsal room and listen to the singers sing it. So then
Mm-hmm.
we could kind of go, okay, like this really works, or what if we changed a part there or changed a part there? And I know
Right.
not every company has the ability to
Mm-hmm.
take that much time
That's
to
true.
actually workshop things. So we were really lucky that way.
And so what was the length of that process? Because you said you had a bit of a luxury of time and resources because you know each other so well, and then sort of kind of taking it into on the road, as they say.
I think, God, I think Josh and I were first presented with a song list in December of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been a year and 10 months, you know?
That's quick, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. It's been great. And with a lot of the work being done, in the back half of last year into the first 6 months of 2023. We did a workshop, I think it was back in April,
Mm-hmm.
and then started over the summer with a 10-week rehearsal period. So, it's constantly evolving because then once you get people in the room, ideas happen. You have serendipitous moments and
Mm-hmm.
things grow out of that. So there are things
That
that we
is.
changed because somebody had an idea on the fly and we went, oh my God, that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so my understanding is that the show, the Wild Rovers musical, has it's kind of took off in Newfoundland first.
Mhm.
What was that like, and what's some of the feedback that you received or favorite tidbits?
Well, yeah, it opened in St. John's, and we opened a new show in our new theater all on the same weekend in St. John's. So it was, I mean, it was an insanely busy time, but it was really, really exciting because that kind of was the flagship show to open our new home in St. John's called
Mhm.
the Majestic Theater and Theater
Nice.
Hill.
Mhm.
So that was fun, and of course, opening up a show in Newfoundland as, mostly Newfoundlanders. There's a
Mhm.
couple of actors from Toronto
Mhm.
who are in the cast. There's a tremendous amount of support there, because it's friends and it's family. And of course, the show has peppered with, some Newfoundland and East Coast humor. And
Mhm.
it always helps when you're in front of a home audience before going into a big city, just to play that out, right?
Yes, yes, for sure. Has anything sort of have there been any tweaks to the show since then and now coming here in Ontario?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of Newfoundland jokes that require a little bit of explanation in this show. Of course, like anything, when you have the opportunity to preview things, there's been no major changes, but there's lines here and there that have been
Mhm.
tweaked or cut or moved, and that's kind of the process when a show
Right,
like this has previews in Newfoundland and then previews in Toronto. So nothing
right.
major has shifted, but of course, there are little things.
And for anybody who might not be familiar with with the Irish Rovers, like musically speaking, as a band or a style of music, what would you say to invite them to join this experience?
Well, I mean, the Irish Rovers are such an interesting band, musicians from Newfoundland, Canada, formed in Canada. They had a variety show on CBC television in the
Right.
60s and then
Hmm.
again in the 70s. And if you go back and watch that, I mean, it's silly, it's lighthearted, it's just full of spirit and, tomfoolery. It's full of their music, which of course is traditional Irish. Um,
Right.
and they're very well known for a lot of covers of very traditional songs.
Right.
Drunken Sailor and the Wild
Hmm.
Rover, and then
Hmm.
you've Black Velvet Band, and then they changed to the Rovers in the 80s and had a couple of more pop stream hits, which are also kind of in the show and very fun. But yeah, so anybody, the fun thing about the show is that there are people in the audience who grew up listening to them in the
Yeah.
60s and watching that television show, but there's also been a lot of younger people as well who have
Mhm.
come out of curiosity. But I think traditional music is very inspiring, and it's kind of it's transcended kind of the decades.
It's true. And I think it's also the genre, right? It's a musical experience. There's a story to it, and it's another way to sort of engage with those sort of songs in a new kind of way, you know?
It definitely is. And I think, right now things are very heavy in the world. There is a lot happening. And for us that go on stage every night and do this, it is very lighthearted. It is very funny.
Right.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's just a lovely departure to sit and enjoy some familiar music, heightened by a silly story, and have a little break from that for a couple of hours in the theater. And I mean, the Winter Garden is such an incredibly beautiful space, and the fact that we get to present this show there, it's kind of the perfect fit
Right.
aesthetically. It's
Mhm.
very on point to what it is we're presenting.
I think so. And I think to add to what you said, I think it's allowing ourselves, giving us permission to laugh and have a break from the everyday that is sort of exciting. And I have been watching some of the old stuff on YouTube, what I found. So, because I
Yeah.
wasn't around when the show was playing. So I think I'm looking forward to sort of experiencing that with also like other like-minded people who just want to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, we certainly do that.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Kellyanne. It's such a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, it was really lovely, and thanks for your time today, and thanks for your support. And I hope you get to enjoy the show, and that people come and love it as much as we do. It's full of heart, and it's full of love, and it's full of beautiful music.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.